Hi, my name is Samantha Dominguez, and I am a student in the Cal State Fullerton Induction Program. And for our program, we had to create a website that compiled all the assignments and research that we've done in the two-year program. As you can see, this is my portfolio, and I have organized it with the homepage, a resume, assessments, CSTP evidence, technology competency, and leadership competency. For the homepage, I have my teacher bio. I've been teaching for 6 years as an art teacher and 11 years as a general teacher and everything. I hold my single subject credential and my multi-subject credential and have a bachelor's of art in art education and my master's in education. This is also a site map of, besides the top, also a site map of what to expect on these websites, as well as relevant websites. So I have the California Content Standards, the Association of Independent Schools, and the National Art Education Association. Here is my resume. I have it set up with professional objectives, technology, teaching experience, and related teaching experience, credentials in education, my accomplishments, and hobbies and interests. I have it so that you can see it on the actual web page, but also that you can download it as a PDF. Moving on to the assessments, we have three different assessments. We have the CSTP assessment, the Pop Cycle assessment, and the Teacher Inquiry assessment. On this page, on the intro page, it kind of gives just a quick definition of what each one is, and then when you move on, it shows you the actual assessments for each one. Moving on to the assessments in general, we'll start with CSTP. CSTP stands for the California Standards for Teaching Professionals, and CTP is the Continuum of Teaching Practice. So each semester we had to go through the different standards and give ourselves a rating, and each rating is done in a different color so that we know what year we were doing it, what year we gave ourselves that rating. The different standards, so standard 1 is engaging and supporting all students in learning. 2 is creating and maintaining effective environments for student learning. 3, understanding and organizing subject matter for student learning. 4, planning introduction and designing learning experiences for all students. 5, assessing students for learning. And 6, developing as a professional educator. As I said, each semester we reflect on our growth and give ourselves a rating, and again it is scribed on but also available as a download in a PDF file. And this ultimately is a goal setting, self-reflection, and inquiry into our practice to help us grow as teachers. Now, pop cycles are a process for examining teacher practice with the help of our mentor. Through each pop cycle, there's a pre-conference, observation and data collecting, and then a post-conference. We've done 3 during our time in the induction program. In semester 1, I did a 2-point perspective. Semester 2, artist choice board that focused on different assessments, and then semester 3 we did editorial cartoons. And the one that I would like to showcase is the artist choice board. When we do a pop cycle, we do a lesson plan, and then we also do the cycle itself. My artist choice board, each year I do a research project with the middle school students, just because I think it's good for them to see that art includes different types of subjects as well, like writing and research. A lot of times students think that art is just creating, and there's a lot that goes into being an artist rather than just creating art. So for this, they had to do they had to pick a specific artist and do research on that artist, and then they got to choose. I'm scrolling down to the activities. They got to choose an activity they wanted to do. A TV ad, timeline, poster, tell a story, free choice that they discussed with me. They couldn't just do whatever they wanted. Write a song, make a Google presentation, create art, take a field trip. And so we make these lesson plans, and then we do our pop cycle where we include the information. So there's section 1 is I fill it out. It's a new teacher information and does the content standards, lesson objectives, unit topic, and lesson title. And then it goes over the different CSTP elements that are in each one, and you give the element your initial rating and why the rating describes it. And then the pre-observation, we discuss with our mentor, and we give a little feedback about the lesson. And our inquiry students, our focus students, so we have an English learner, a student with an ILP, and our choice, for this specific one, I did a student that was a little bit on top of the class to see if I can push her a little further. Once we've done all the feedback, then I teach the lesson, and I reflect myself, as well as my mentor gives me her observation notes. And then, so after she's given me her observation notes, I do my own reflection, and then I do a post-observation conference with her and kind of reflect on how I move forward. The last assessment is a ILPs for teacher inquiry. An ILP is an individualized learning plan, and it's kind of a roadmap for new teachers and a guide for our mentor to support us. The teacher inquiry I like to focus on is the one that I did using technology. And again, it's very similar to a pop cycle where, we put down the CSTP areas that we were focusing on, inquiry focus and planning, and our focus students, and then research that we've done for it, as well as the results and the reflections of it. For this specific lesson, let me go back up to the top. I did a how I wanted them to use a blended learning platform in their studies. In this specific one, I did Google Classroom to see if it could help them maintain their guidance throughout the project, throughout the editorial. So they had to submit and look at the rubrics and what is expected of them on Google Classroom, and hopefully and through Google Classroom it also prompted them with assignments and due dates. So I was hoping that would create a way for them to use the technology to manage their time. In the end, let's see. I felt that it was done really well, but they need some practice with it. Now, for the last 2 semesters, we've been focusing on technology and leadership goals. So technology, let me take you to our technology competency tools and resources, or playlist. So for this specific section of our portfolio, we found resources to use in the classroom, and there was different standards that had to go with the technology, and I used critically examining online resources because I have the students use a lot of online resources for references, and I find it a lot of times they have a hard time finding credible sources, so I thought this was a good example to use. Engaging in positive, safe, legal, and ethical behaviors. Again, students have a very hard time understanding how dangerous the internet can be and how dangerous social media can be, and so I thought it was a great way to get them to realize the seriousness of it. And then finally, I did digital identity and reputation. It kind of goes with the seriousness of social media, understanding like how you portray yourself on social media is ongoing and can be hard to reverse. So with teaching middle school students especially, I thought these three items were important to express to them. Moving on to our my leadership goals. Pretty sure it's on the. Sorry, it's not it. Our leadership goals. So we did technology, and now we're on to the leadership competency. We had leadership experiences and future goals. I decided I wanted to develop my leadership in collaborating with professional communities. Develop my leadership in student assessment, and develop my leadership in professional development. As somebody that's been teaching for 11 years, I think that these three things were incredibly important because the first couple years you're really trying to figure out who you are as a teacher and how your classroom looks, and by the time you make it to your 11th year, you kind of figured that out, and you need more. You need more to push you forward and to make you better and keep going. You don't ever want to become stagnant in your career. And I thought my professional development, my goal was to develop my curriculum and trends in art by attending professional development, specifically in regards to art. I haven't been to many art professional developments, and that was something that I wanted to increase significantly. And then with my professional communities, I have a hard time integrating family and artists from the community into my classroom when it is actually very easy to do. So my goal was to provide experiences to incorporate family in the community into the curriculum. And then also student assessment. I just think student assessment is one of those things that you can never have enough information on. So I wanted to assess student progress more frequently, both formally and informally. And to finally sum up our time in our teacher induction program, we were to perform a teacher leader project, and I decided to do a Google Classroom tutorial because I had been using it for a couple of semesters now, and I included it in a lot of my ILPs and pop cycles, so I thought it was only the next logical step was to pass on my knowledge to the staff. Here is my Google Classroom presentation. I have my objectives, and then I wanted them to think of what is Google Classroom and some of the pros and cons, because there's some things you just don't think about when you're starting to include technology into your classroom. And then the rest of my project was a lot of screenshots showing you how to set up the actual Google Classroom and different tips and tricks to help you move along. A lot of times I find that teachers don't do something because they just don't know how to do it, and there's not a lot for them to, not a lot of resources for them to turn to. And I thought this was a very easy way for them to see what was needed and how to move forward. I had handout notes and the handout and notes for them to take along with them as well, so that they could refer back to it if needed. And that is the end of all the projects for the 4 semesters we have completed. Again, I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and that you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.